Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to Zooty Pickups. In today's video, we'll be talking about the Vans Vault X Blends OG Epoch LXs, aka the Bones Epochs. So these shoes came out February 29th of 2020 for a retail price of $130. And they come to us as the latest collaboration in between Southern California-based streetwear retailer Blends and Vans Vault. So Blends and Vans have been collaborating for a number of years now. I believe their first collaboration was way back in 2012. And it was the first iteration of the Bones Vans shoes from Blends. It was a skate high, and what they did was they took out that iconic Vans jazz stripe off the side and replaced it with this super cool bone jazz stripe. I'll put up a picture right here. And that shoe did extremely well, so they did a couple more releases in 2013 and so on and so forth. Various different models, decon skate highs, style 36s, old schools, you name it. Most recently they had a comfy cush version of the old schools, which sadly I could not get. But it just kind of brings us full circle to this model, the Epochs. So the Epochs are a brand new silhouette entry into the Bones lineup. They never have done anything like this with the Epochs before. And I think it's interesting they chose the Epochs because the Epochs are definitely, it's a different silhouette, right? Like when you think of Vans, you kind of think of slip-ons, you think of old school skate highs, authentics eras. You know, you have kind of like that group of sneakers that you can imagine when you're thinking of Vans. But the Epoch is definitely not kind of like in that group of sneakers. So the Epoch itself is, I guess, a newer shoe compared to the classic shoes in the Vans lineup. The shoe came out in '94, and I think you can kind of see in the styling a little bit. It is a very like 90s looking shoe. And unlike all the other Vans shoes, which are very like Southern California skate shoe looking sneakers, the Vans Epoch is more or less like, I think it looks more like your traditional, I'd say like athletic trainer or tennis shoe from back in the mid 90s. And it definitely gives off that vibe. So yeah, I'm pretty glad that they decided to go with like a pretty entirely new silhouette for this new rendition of the Bones Vans. And yeah, this is actually my first pair of Epochs. So now that we got all that history and exposition out of the way, let's actually start talking about the shoe itself. And while this shoe looks like a really simple and plain shoe, there are actually a decent number of details here I'd like to talk about that kind of sets this apart from a normal Epoch. So let's start with the upper. The upper itself, as you can see, is constructed out of this super high quality hairy suede material. So the leather, as you can see, is it's top notch. And I think that pretty much goes for every Blends Vans collaboration out there so far. The other Blends Vans I have is the Style 36s, and that shoe has that really smooth tumbled pigskin, and this shoe is no exception to the quality rule here with its silky smooth hairy suede. I definitely love suede on sneakers just because I think they're a little easier to maintain. You know, they can get dirty and still look good, and best of all, it's very hard to crease suede. I mean, they almost don't crease at all, so you're not going to get that creasing in the toe box that you get from kind of like your traditional leathers. Apart from the material being made out of that super high quality suede, the construction and paneling of the upper itself is pretty much exactly the same as any other Epoch. The normal just mainline Vans Epochs or the Vans Vault Epochs. You have that traditional kind of like flared toe box panel right here, and then you have the scalloped edges around the lace box right here. And yeah, I mean, those are kind of like the signature touches of the Epoch. Obviously, there are some major differences as well. One of them being the Bone V. That's, I guess, like the entire point of the shoe, right? So the normal Epoch has a normal kind of like smooth V, as you can see here, and that's kind of like its main design focus. So here, Blends decided to replace that with the Bone V, and I mean, do I even need to say anything about it? It looks super sick. I love the whole bones motif. I even have the matching shirt, unofficial matching shirt, I guess. But yeah, the bones theme is really sick. I just can't get enough of it. The V itself is made out of this very supple tumbled leather, and it's done in this very tasteful marshmallow white color. So it's kind of like a off-white, kind of like sail color. And that exact same material is used on the heel tab right here. So you got that same supple tumbled leather right here on the heel tab, also done in the marshmallow white colorway. Another big difference between these Epochs and the normal Epochs is the absence of the Vans Off the Wall logo right here on the tongue. So the normal Epochs have a huge Vans Off the Wall logo that looks super 90s, like right here in the middle of the tongue. And as you can see here on the Blends versions, they did away with that, kind of going for a clean, minimalist look. And I definitely dig it. The whole theme of all the Blends X Vans collaborations thus so far have been black and white, and I think they're just trying to stick with that theme. Moving on to the laces, as you can see, the laces are also slightly different than what you get on a normal Vans. They are waxed laces, so you kind of get that little more of a premium feel. They kind of look, for the most part, the same as normal laces, but if you do look closely, you can see that there is a slight sheen on them. So I definitely think it does actually add a little bit of that extra luxuriousness. The color of the laces also match the rest of the shoe. It's done in that slightly off-white marshmallow colorway, which also, it's kind of like a pet peeve for me when the laces are white and the rest of the shoe is off-white, but the color matching is pretty spot on. Moving to the inside of the shoe now. So the inside of the shoe is also lined with a very high quality, supple, tumbled leather. The inside of the tongue pretty much all the way down is that high quality leather material. However, on the interior of the collar here, it only extends maybe about half an inch or so, and then it turns into a normal kind of like canvas fabric here. And that's definitely not a bad thing, because if the entire inside of the shoe was lined with that tumbled leather, your foot would get super sweaty in there. So the lining of the shoe is your traditional Vans canvas. Moving to the very bottom of the shoe, you can see that we have some co-branding on the insole here. It says Blends Design, and then you have the Vans logo, and then you got the famous Blends wax seal right there with that little touch of red, and all of that branding is printed on the Vans Vault signature leather piece right here on the heel. See, this is like one of those things that no one except you will really see, because I mean, who's going to see the inside of your shoe, especially when you're wearing it? However, that being said, these little attention to detail things, I think, are what really makes the shoe great and what really makes the collaboration as good as it is. So now let's move back out to the exterior of the shoe, because I want to talk about the midsole here. So the midsole and the outsole, I mean, this might fly under the radar for a lot of people. It just looks like a normal midsole or whatever. But for waffle heads, people that really love Vans shoes, this is a special midsole. So recently, Vans has been releasing their OG LX midsoles, and basically what that is, it's like a throwback version of the midsoles that Vans used to make back in the 70s. So I mean, the perfect analogy is Chuck Taylors and Chuck 70s. So the Chuck 70s have that beefier midsole and outsole, and it's kind of like a throwback design to what they had before. This is the exact same concept. So this is a lot beefier. This is basically what Vans was using way back in the day when they first started making their shoes. Now, obviously, for this shoe, the Epoch came out in the 90s, so it came out after they got kind of like rid of this midsole design. That being said, we're getting like a unique combination here of the retro 70s midsole and the retro 90s upper, and that's kind of like the benefits of having a collaboration like this. So what does this OG LX midsole entail? So the main difference, I would say, is the foxing here comes a lot higher up onto the toe box than I'd say your regular Vans LXs. So this is not a OG LX. This is a regular LX slip-on, and it's a little hard to tell, obviously, but you can see that the OG LXs, the foxing does come down a little more. It just, the lip of the foxing here comes down a little further onto the toe box. I mean, it's like a really subtle thing. You have to look really hard, but you can definitely notice it when you're wearing the shoe, that little extra lip there. The second big difference is the finish. So the finish on the OG LX midsoles, it's kind of like a shiny finish. It has a nice sheen to it, and it is pretty smooth. The normal midsoles, as you can see, are just kind of like a matte white rubber. It doesn't have that sheen, and the foxing tape is bumpy. It's not as smooth. I mean, obviously these are old and kind of dirty, but you see what I'm saying here. You can see the lack of sheen on the normal LXs versus the OG LXs. So those are the two main differences, and basically it just kind of like makes this shoe feel a lot more chunkier. So yeah, for this collaboration, Vans and Blends decide to go with the OG LX midsole. I'm very happy about that. It's done in that nice Vans marshmallow white colorway that matches the rest of the shoe, and finally it's finished off with a blank white bumper plate, where you would normally get the red Vans off the wall logo. You just have a empty white rectangle, and that's kind of like the same theme that's been reoccurring in all the previous Vans and Blends collaborations. There is actually print on there if you look really closely. I don't know if you can see it. I'll put up a picture. It's just white on white. It's tonal print. But I am glad that they didn't put the red print on here, because that kind of goes against the whole like black and white color motif that they've been going for the last, like, I don't know, like 6-7 years now with all their collaborations. And that theme carries on to the bottom of the shoe as well. So as you can see, you have your classic Vans waffle outsole, but it is done in this matte black. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. We've made our way all around the shoe, inside and outside. Now I want to talk about sizing and comfort. So in terms of sizing, this is an interesting shoe. The Epoch is a slightly larger fitting shoe, in my opinion, than your traditional Vans like Authentics or slip-ons or anything like that. Usually Vans fit pretty true to size for me, but this was slightly large. I'd say like half a size larger than the other shoes. So normally 13 in Vans is a little tight on me. I mean, I can still wear it and not have any pain in my foot or anything like that, but it's just a little snug. I got these in 13 because that was the biggest size that they were offering, and this honestly fits like really comfortably. I have a lot of room to move around. My toe box is nice and wide, so that's why I'm saying this shoe kind of fits half a size big than your normal Vans. It's definitely not anything like a Chuck Taylor where it's like a full size larger, but maybe a little bit larger, like a half a size larger. So take that into consideration when you are purchasing. In terms of comfort, I mean, this is a Vans Vault shoe, meaning that it really doesn't have much in terms of technology when it comes to cushioning here. I mean, is it terrible? Like, no. There's like a default level of comfort, I think, that comes with Vans Vault shoes. It's not like the worst thing ever, but it's not great. I mean, for like a vulcanized shoe with a cork insole, it's not bad, right? But don't expect anything like React or, Boost or anything like that in a shoe like this. This is a good shoe to wear to work or for short periods of time when you're walking around in town, but I would definitely not choose this shoe to wear like all day, for example. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up everything I have to say about the shoe. Super glad I was able to get this pair. I mean, it's like a really clean pair of shoes, black and white shoes you can never go wrong with. Sick bone V here, you can never go wrong with that too. Blends and Vans have always been releasing banger collaborations. This shoe is no exception. Hopefully we'll get more cool silhouettes like this in the future. So yeah, if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. I'll throw these on feet so you guys can see what they look like. And once again, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.